Hello again, dear ones. So before I forget, I'm gonna do this at the beginning just so I don't forget this time, but I wanted to go over the box of emotions. So every time we do a class, I will try to do something like health-wise, physical-wise. So actually, while I have that in the moment, let's do that as well. So I want to just do something with our shoulders, shoulder isolation. So what I want you to do is first put your shoulders up like, huh? Who done it? And then slouch like, why is everyone picking on me? But when you do that, stretch your neck out. So don't just slouch all the way over. So then we'll go, huh? And down. Huh? And slouch. But actually, this feels more stretched and it doesn't really actually feel slouchy. It feels so amazing. Then let's do one up, one up. I should have done it when my hair was up. Down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. Now we'll go the other way. No, we already did the other way, I think, somehow. Yeah. So when you're doing this, try and make sure that the opposite shoulder is completely going the opposite direction. So when this one's going up, this one's going down. This one's going up, down. So then I want us to do double time, double time, do. Oh yeah, there is an opposite way. Durr. Sorry guys, getting back in the swing of things. Dance teaching. And then if you do it to a song like ooh, 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 ooh. Let's go back, 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 forward, 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 forward. Woo. We're swimming, we're swimming, we're swimming. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, just loosen up your shoulders before you dive in to your mental health. You heard? So, the box of emotions. Let's do bliss. We're just in a moment of bliss out here in the beautiful windy day. Not too hot, not too cold. Ooh, happiness. Happiness is a multi-million pound industry. Self-help books encourage us to track our emotional temperatures. Apps turn the effects of certain foods and exercise on our moods into graphs. But in our hurry to weigh and measure that most subjective, fleeting experience of happiness, we might be forgetting to check first what we're putting at risk. The idea that happiness is obligatory, that we have failed if we can't achieve it, can make us anxious and dissatisfied. One response to this dilemma is to reject the term altogether. Many contemporary philosophers and psychologists prefer to use the term flourishing. While happiness has come to be associated with a generalized positive feeling, to lead a flourishing life demands that you practice courage, compassion, and deferred gratification for a more satisfying way to live. Perhaps the greatest consequence of replacing talk of happiness with talk of flourishing will be to restore happiness to its rightful place as an emotion, a temporary feeling which, like all emotions, may sometimes be present and sometimes not. Beautiful! That was nice. I enjoyed that. Next time we'll do one from the enjoyment. Ooh, there's ego in here. There's a lot. There's a lot of goodies. Lots of good ends. Box of emotions. Ocean in emotion. So now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna pray over this video, which I should have probably done in the beginning, but dear Heavenly Father, please just open the hearts and minds of those listening, and please bless everybody in a mighty way who is taking the time out of their busy day to learn more about how to become a better member of society, a better person in general, and how to love themselves through you, because we can't really love ourselves unless we feel the love from you, Lord. So please just bless everyone watching. In Jesus' name, amen. So we left off on, well, let me just recap. Chapter 1 was facing codependence. We're still in chapter 1. We went over our window of life, why a recovery approach, the window of codependence, and now we're moving on to the caregiver role. So let's just dive right in. Dive and jive and feel alive. Often, as codependents, we develop a caregiver role to balance a relationship or family system that was imbalanced because of a person who is physically, mentally, or emotionally unavailable. The need to overly focus on the needs of this person caused a disruption and misunderstanding of the purpose of relationship. As we focus more on the other person's needs, we may have focused less on our own. Since the person we cared for was unable to give back in the relationship, emotionally, spiritually, financially, or physically, we learn to become a compensator and sometimes even a rescuer. In the process, our own needs were neglected or malnourished, resulting in our spiritual, mental, and emotional growth being stunted. Wow, that was powerful. I mean, it seems weird, but I guess maybe I was trying to caretake my mom. I don't know. I was trying to overcompensate to receive her love, I believe. So that's, I think, where my people pleasing really started to come into practice. Just, you know, try to please everyone around me and don't ever say no, which of course that's not always going to be the case. I definitely have a little sassy side to me that just blossomed out of nowhere. I've always kind of had that little sassiness to me as well, so that's why it's a little sassy, because I'm a little sassy. Not always sassy, but sometimes a little sassy, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, just overcompensating to try to earn my love, try to receive love by being the best kid that I could be, or being the best friend, being the best girlfriend. You know, we'll get deeper into that later, but it really does start the minute you're born. Are you connecting with your mother and your father? And I just think it was probably definitely hard to connect with my mom because we were having a C-section, and maybe that's even where some of the addiction started, is probably everybody. I don't really know many, well, there's some out there, some mothers that don't take any drugs, but for the most part, the drugs are being put into the mother, and those drugs are going into the kid as well, I'm sure. And it's just so socially accepted because obviously childbirth is very painful, but it's in a way a little selfish probably too, just because you care more about preventing your pain than how the drugs that you're putting in your body are going to affect your newborn baby. And it was a little different in my mom's case because she was having a C-section. So, you know, how do you go through surgery without anesthesia or any type of numbing drug? I mean, that would be just probably undoable. I don't know. I'm not a doctor in that area, so someone's gonna have to inform me if someone, yeah, I don't think it, yeah, not good. But to go even a little deeper is why did we have a C-section? What was that all about? And I might need to ask my mom, but it is a question. I know sometimes people have to have them, but Why? Why did you have to have it that way? That doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound like God's way. So I was already probably disconnected with my mom because it wasn't a natural birth. So we were just doomed from then on. Let's continue on. The next part is externally referenced. Over time, we became very sensitive to the needs and expectations of people and circumstances surrounding us. As we became accustomed to meeting and accommodating other people's needs, we began to use people or outside circumstances as a reference point for everything in our life. Our life consisted of our efforts to read people through unspoken expressions or by analyzing their irrational behavior. By fixating on how to read our environment, we became externally referenced. It drove us to levels of insanity because that reference point often had no logical or rational perspective driving it. Still, we believed something on the outside had the answer to what we needed on the inside. We ultimately came to believe that our own sense of happiness and fulfillment rested on our ability to help, care for, and please the people in our lives. Our ability to do this had the potential to completely crush our sense of worth. In more advanced levels of codependence, we became so enmeshed with the people in our lives that we were unable to identify our own feelings, thinking, and acting. This way of living caused us to disconnect with our true selves, our authentic identities, and our true needs. We became a catalyst to the needs of those around us, and in some ways, our sense of self was entirely dissolved. Unable to identify this pattern or the reasons behind it, we were caught in a vicious cycle of attempting to help, fix, change, and please others, while at the same time still feeling empty, angry, disappointed, and disconnected. Yeah, totally. Totes my goats can relate. Very sensitive to the needs and expectations of people surrounding us. Yes, it's very important to recognize that I was doing that for sure. Yeah, and it's still a process to try to break that. And it's hard also, I've noticed in my own life, to find a healthy balance, between work life and having self-care. Because honestly, anytime I work a job, my self-care takes a beating. And so it's very difficult to, be a productive member in society and make a way for sustaining life, as well as taking care of my needs, physically, mentally, emotionally, sleep-wise, eating-wise, time with friends, time in self-help groups, downtime, creating music. It's hard to find that balance, and it's probably even harder for people with kids and marriages, and and I might be a little jaded from what I experienced in life, just working jobs where my self-care was so brutally damaged, or toxic love relationships, toxic friendships. It's kind of made me a loner out here, but then again, I am new to this city, so I really don't know anyone yet, so it's easy to get isolated, but I do sure get a lot done when I'm isolated and don't have a bunch of friends to, invite me out to do things. But it gets lonely, so it's really hard to find that balance, because I love the feeling of accomplishment and getting things done, and sometimes the only way for me to get things done is literally by myself in my house, silence, no distractions, no people around distracting me. So you get a lot done, but it's lonely. You feel disconnected from the world. It's tough figuring out life out here, right, guys? So let's move on to externally referenced. We'll just do a few more and then we'll shut it down for this session. Externally referenced. Over time, we became very sensitive to the needs. Oh, I already read that. Bye, Felicia. So, where is codependence developed? The seed of shame. Shame in the game has at some point taken root in the codependent's life. Shame says, I don't measure up. Something is wrong with me. Sometimes shame is imposed on a child in very subtle ways, such as living in a strict Christian home where the child doesn't quite measure up. Can totally relate to that. Sometimes it is imposed in brutal ways from a very chaotic and abusive environment. The codependent was also most likely not properly given or modeled love. If love was absent or seen as something needed to be earned, the codependent would develop compensation behaviors in adulthood. Families of origins aren't the only place where a person may be exposed to codependence. Sometimes outside events and relationships can also usher in these behaviors. An abusive marriage, rejection at school, or a dysfunctional friendship can all be breeding grounds for codependence tendencies. That'll sharpen your rap game. Codependence tendencies. Codependence tendencies. Codependence tendencies. Codependence tendencies. See you later, alligator. Don't be a hater. Okay, so attributes of codependence. Believing a relationship with a significant other will fill the ultimate need for love. Depending on relationships with emotionally unavailable people to meet our own needs. Bound in relationships by performance, what I do, rather than core value and worth, who I am. And I really struggle with that one. I'm just gonna stop for a minute because in society, it's really about how much you can produce. It's like, if you don't work, you don't eat, or your bills don't get paid. And that's not always the case. I do appreciate our government and society for the fact of SNAP benefits, food stamps. There is energy assistance programs out there. There is rent assist sometimes, but it definitely, they don't make it too easy sometimes. You have to show a lot of documentation. Hi, birdie bird. Chirp, chirp. Chirp, chirp. He's like, the fridge? I was gonna say a cuss word and I was like, nah, and I was supposed to say fudge, but I said fridge, so what? Do something. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Birds are freaking out. Did you guys see the boat just pass by? Which is like, doo-doo-doo. Anyways, lost my train of thought. Oh, society, yeah. So there are programs out there that help you, you know? You are worthy, but it's not sustainable sometimes. And I feel as an artist and as a creator and someone who wants to talk about my religion and Jesus, I can't just, it's been very difficult to find a job that can just meet all my needs in that aspect. I've tried the whole job thing. I've been working since I was in elementary school, you know, and it was just, I just feel like the time now is to focus on my true calling in life, which is to bring people to Christ. Because at the end of the day, there is nothing more important than where you're going to go for eternity. Yes, it's important that you have a roof over your head. Yes, you need to eat. Yes, you need to drink water. Yes, you need to find a place to go to the bathroom because you can't just do it out in public. Thank God they have porta potties here, but it's just like, everybody owns every square inch of land. You can't just be surprised I can even do this right now. I'm probably gonna get a talking to one of these days if I keep it up. But it's just, you know, everyone's got to stake their little claim, and I get it, you know, but it is hard when you don't have your own little claim to stake and just kind of feel lost, or if you're in a vulnerable situation where you have nowhere to sleep but the grass and you still get harassed out of the grass. I'm just going on and on and on about things that may be a little, I don't know, out there for some people. Some people might not get it, but the whole reason I was going into this is because everyone is worthy. We are all worthy. The moment we were created by God, we were made worthy. And I do understand that we need to work, but I also think some of us need to work where we were created to work, not just work to pay the bills and, you know, be unhappy. Like, God all created us for a certain purpose. And, you know, I think it goes bigger than just, you know, like during COVID right now, people are saying, oh, we can't get enough workers, but maybe we have too many businesses going on. Maybe we have too many McDonald's. And I mean, granted, I will admit, I like having the option of having a few McDonald's because one's closer, one's open later, you know, but at the end of the day, maybe it's not healthy to have all these McDonald's. You know, I love a good McDonald's meal, but all the time and so easily accessible. You could just go on down a whole rabbit hole, but you know, there's a lot of businesses out there that aren't trying to make the world a better place. They're just trying to make money to pay the bills, which I totally get. We're all there. We all need to make a living, but you know, I think some businesses don't treat their employees correctly. They exploit them. They make much more than they pay and, you know, don't care about your schedule. It's all about their schedule. They could give two hoots about what you need to do or your sleep schedule or anything. And what I'm getting at is we're all worthy. And yes, God wants us to work, but He wants us to work in where we belong. And maybe if you have a business where you have 100 employees, maybe your business is a little too big. Maybe you don't need 100 employees. I'm trying to do a business right now where I'm the only employee, really. And I'm the only one that I need to manage and worry about and take care of. And I know not everybody's like that, and not everybody wants to be in business for themselves. And I do think we all should be able to do business if we want to, but some people are in it for the money. They're not in it for trying to make the world a better place. So the next one is obsession with other people's problems and needs. Bound in relation, oh, we already went over that one. Overly caring for other people to the neglect of self needs. Feeling victimized and used as a result. Inability to say no. I definitely struggle with that one. It breaks my heart to tell people no. I hate disappointing people. I hate telling people when I know it's going to upset them, but I'm really having to learn those healthy self-boundaries, because when I'm saying yes to some things, then I'm saying no to myself. So who's it gonna be? Am I gonna say no to them, or am I gonna say no to me? You know, and if you're not okay, how are you gonna take care of other people? But again, there's the balance. You can't always be all about yourself. And I'm learning that. But if I'm not okay, I can't really give to other people. If I am, you know, stressed financially, I can't give any money really. I can give a little, but yeah, it's like the more you have in your time, the more time you can give. The more resources you have, the more resources you can give. The more love you have or feel, the more love you can give. But if you're depleted in any of those areas, it's not healthy to give it out. And I've had to learn that, you know, sometimes saying yes to something isn't healthy for anyone involved, because you might be miserable, resentful, bitter about doing something that you don't truly want to do, something that you're actually not good at, but you could do. Like, for example, somebody asked me to help clean some stuff for them and get paid for it, and I had to decline because yes, I am capable of cleaning these materials for you and I do need the money, but I don't want to do this long term. I don't want you to get used to having me do this, because it's not going to work out in the long run. It might work for like a few days, and then I'm going to get burnt out and I'm going to be over it, and my house is going to become discombobulated because I'm so busy helping clean and maintain your products that I can't even keep mine up. And some people have the gift of cleaning, and some people like to do it, and some people are good at cleaning up quickly, or they have little secrets and ways and tips and tricks. I'm just a perfectionism, and I'm very slow about a lot of things that I do, and I'm very meticulous, and it's very hard to move on if I know I haven't done my best. Like, it's very hard to dust something without taking every little trinket off the shelf and dusting. I don't want to just go over it with the fluffer. I want to take everything out. I want to dust all the trinkets and the surface. I'm a great cleaner, but do I always want to do it? Is that how I want to fill my time? Is that how I want to give back? No. I had to realize the way I want to give back is to help people mentally, emotionally. I want to give my knowledge back. I don't want to give my hard manual labor back. I did that when I was a kid, and I'm over it. When I was younger and didn't know better. I mean, I think we all do have to put our time in, but where do we draw the line? Where do we decide that I've done enough manual labor and I'm over it, and now I'm ready to do what I was called to do? It's tough trying to figure life out, let me tell you. I'm no expert by any means. Yeah, it's tough. Tolerating mistreatment or abuse from people while justifying their behavior and trying to defend them. And I definitely do that. I'm very empathic, and I'm always trying to figure out why somebody did something because it lightens the blow. I don't want to hate anybody. I don't want to think that people are just downright evil and mean and heartless. There's usually a reason why people act like that, and I love digging deeper to get down to that reason, but you also can't let it always be an excuse for people not to take accountability. People still have to take accountability. Period, point blank. Oh my God, so cute. I wish you guys could see these dogs. They're just adorbs. Avoiding conflict with other people to the point of being unable to speak true feelings or ask for valid needs. Oftentimes countered by fits of anger or rage, passive aggression. Yep, I'm totally conflict avoidant. Hate disappointing people, hate calling people out on their crap, because I hate it when people call me out. I'm trying to work on that because, you know, sometimes it is good to be called out, but you have to kind of pray and find out when it's appropriate, how to appropriately do it, all that good stuff. Covering up for irresponsible people in life by lying or filling in the gaps to help them. Yep, I've done that before too, because I can relate to addicts. So I'm gonna let addicts get away with behavior that's unacceptable because I know what it feels like to be an addict, and I would have been very upset to get called out on it, you know, because when you're not ready to change sometimes, it's hard. It's hard. Doing for others what they should be doing for themselves. Attempting to protect a person from emotional pain or the consequences of unhealthy behaviors, such as using drugs and alcohol. Unaware that doing so enables the problem rather than solving it. And I'm gonna have to speak on this too, is, you know, I felt like I pushed my emotional needs and wants and dreams and goals down so far that I felt so bad about myself, and, you know, just, it was just so bad that I literally had to self-medicate. And now I know that was the wrong way to go about it because it was just such a temporary fix, but when you just pile all that stuff down and you just are so miserable, you gotta do something when you hate yourself because you're letting all these people walk all over you and you're people pleasing and you're saying yes to things you don't want to say yes to, and you're doing jobs you don't want to do. And you know, I know, like I said, we all have to do it once in a while, but that's really, I think, what led me to addiction. And I forgot to mention this on, I think it was the last video, but people being born with chemical imbalance. I was led to believe that people could be born with chemical imbalance, and I thought that that was the case for me. Come to find out, you know, obviously sin, generational curses have something to do with it, but it's also, some people are more prone to being chemically imbalanced due to whatever was happening in the generations before them. We all have a probability of whether we might be susceptible to something. Some people's probabilities are higher than others, but if you're nurtured properly as a child from like 0 to 7, your chances of becoming an addict or becoming discombobulated emotionally and all these life problems, they can be prevented. Even if you're more susceptible to becoming an addict, if you're nurtured properly as a young child, you may never struggle with addiction. You may never even have the urge or desire to use, because you're already so fulfilled and you love yourself, and you couldn't imagine putting a drug in yourself, because even though drug use is a little glamorized, like, ooh, wow, they're high, they must be having so much fun. But we all know there's side effects to doing drugs. We all know. From a young kid, I knew that doing a drug was gonna possibly hurt me. I already knew that. So people that love themselves are not gonna they're not gonna risk it all for a temporary high. We all know that the high doesn't last. So if you're fulfilled and filled up, you're not gonna risk your freedom, your health, your body. We all know that some people die off one time, one overdose, and it's over. So, you know, if you're fulfilled and you feel loved by your community, by your parents, by your siblings, by your friends, by your job, you're gonna be less likely to go and do the drugs. But so I was convinced, oh, I was born with this chemical imbalance, and so the doctors wanted to give me all these antidepressants. I tried like 5 or 6 of them, and they all just were terrible. They had terrible side effects, and I do not think there was 1 more ounce of happiness. I think it was all a scam. And some people claim that it makes them better or works, or yeah, maybe, but the antidepressants never did it for me. But the street drugs, now those worked. There was a definite change from feeling like crap to feeling amazing. There was a huge difference. I saw it. So yeah, some drugs work, some don't, you know. But I wouldn't recommend any of them, to be honest. I would recommend doing the work to become mentally sound. I think that would be the best recommendation you can give. Yeah. So we're almost done with these. Directly or indirectly attempting to fix, manage, or control another person's problems, even if in a loving way. Trying to please people in life by going out of the way to be helpful, thoughtful, or caring, and then becoming angry or discouraged if the desired response does not come. Motives were to get the person to respond rather than trying to bless them. Migrating towards people who need help, yet having a difficult time receiving help from others. I'm definitely drawn to people who need help. I love a good help case. Yep. It just gets me going. I feel in my flow. I'm contributing. I'm giving back. I can feel it. I know what probably started all of it. But at the end of the day, we all know what started it, right? It was sin. Sin is what is the real culprit behind all of our problems in life. And it's just been expanding, getting bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on. And something else that I wanted to mention about that was, as we were talking about addictions, how the enemy can lie and deceive us and tell us, oh, if you take that drug just one time, it's not gonna kill you, but it kills you spiritually. And you don't really notice it because you can't really see your spirit, but every time you do the drug, take the drug, you're killing yourself more and more and more spiritually. You're more and more disconnected from your creator because you're trying to use a counterfeit to feel the contentment that only God can give you. And it was also a lie in the fact that, oh, if you eat from the tree or take the drug, you won't die. Well, now look, we're all sentenced to death, and death is a horrific part of life. It's so devastating every time we lose somebody that we love, or when we're facing death, when we're going through issues, you know, it's so devastating. So he really downplayed it to Adam and Eve, you know, oh, you won't die. Well, you won't die right away, but slowly but surely we will all die, and that is the punishment for biting the apple from the tree. And God is, though, he is so gracious and good that he knew that we can't possibly go on living in this torturous life forever. You know, all the pain, all the suffering, all the disease. He doesn't want us to endure that forever. And so he is actually a good God in the fact that he let our physical bodies die, but our spiritual bodies will live on for eternity. So it's actually great that we die, because we don't want to live in this earth forever. This earth is corrupt, it's painful. We want to live free and fulfilled and content. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, we're almost done, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So, being willing to compromise personal belief systems or morals to please another person or to have emotional needs met. Worrying about other people's feelings so much that it has a direct effect on one's own feelings. Being bound to another person's emotions. Happy when they are happy, upset when they are upset. Losing one's interest and identity in close relationships. Believing that the people in one's life are a direct reflection of oneself. Fear of being alone or withdrawing out of fear of close relationships. So that covers facing codependency. Next time, we're gonna work on reading about the codependent personality. That would be me. You already know. So there's a few more pages on facing codependency, and then in chapter 2, which I thought was very profound, is going over the family systems. That's a great chapter, so definitely stick it out till then. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Namaste. And I'll catch up with you next time.